Welcome to today's Q&A. It's the 25th of March already. Hey, welcome. My name is Jesse here with Decker Truckline, answering some of our driving position questions. You know, what kind of top truck driving jobs do we have here at Decker? And give you some details on qualifying for those positions, where those positions are at, and, you know, what they pay, what kind of benefits you get, what kind of equipment you'll be expecting, the whole thing. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today. My name again is Jesse. If you have questions, put them in the chat. My chat is right over here. I'm going to try and keep my eye on it. Hey, Mike, thanks for being here today. So I'm going to try and keep my eye on it, and that way, if you have a question, hopefully I have an answer, and that way we can kind of move right along. But of course, like I said, I'll be kind of giving you some updates on the available positions and payouts and all that good stuff that will be coming through. So, as far as upcoming events, I do want to give you a notice. We will be announcing our Driver of the Month for February today on our Facebook page, so don't miss that. We'll be doing that a little bit later today. On next Tuesday, this is already happening, we will be announcing our grand champion during our Decker Awards ceremony on Tuesday night. And we will be live streaming here on our YouTube channel. We'll be live streaming on our Facebook page. And this is a big ordeal because the last 9 years, I think we've been doing it 9 years now, we've had a grand champion, and the grand champion gets a $15,000 prize. And that grand champion is chosen from one of our 5 driver of the years. So we'll be kind of taking a look at the background and the stats from each of our driver of the years for 2024. Remember, these are 2024s because really what we're looking at are their stats from 2024 that qualified them for this opportunity. And then again, for those of you who weren't here last week or maybe missed the announcement, the 5 driver of the years, so we have 5 different divisions we're recognizing. Our independent operator, Jamie Beam, won the driver of the year for the division. Each of these individuals, each of these individuals will get a $3,000 prize. The $3,000 for earning driver of the year, unless they win the grand champion, and then that's when they get the $15,000 instead. So, pretty big deal. Jamie Beam is our independent operator, driver of the year. Chad Hazelton is once again our Western over-the-road refrigerator division winner. Robert Skiles, our over-the-road Southern flatbed division winner. Irvin Kilberg is our Midwest flatbed division winner. And Todd Overson, yet again, our Midwest refrigerated division winner. So for driver of the year. Now, there are a couple of them that have won multiple times. Several of them, Jamie has, is it 4 million miles under his belt? Quite a few. So we've got some big winners, big earners, big winners that are on or in the running for the grand champion opportunity. But again, that will be April 1st that we'll be announcing that. And April 1st is actually jammed-packed full of stuff. We will also be recognizing our referrals. Every quarter we do a referral drawing. And if you referred somebody within the first quarter, your name will be entered in for a chance at an additional $1,000 prize. So that's in addition to the $2,000 that you may have earned for referring somebody already, right? Referring somebody and hired on. I should make sure that if they're referred and they hire on, so they have to, of course, meet the qualifications for that. Speaking of qualifications, why don't we kind of hit on those initially, and that way we can come back and, of course, talk more about the individual positions, but I think it's important to know what it takes to qualify for us here at Decker. And again, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I'll answer them as soon as I can see them. Basic qualifications, just going down the little checklist here, right? You got to be at least 21 years of age. You've got to be able to read, write, and speak English conversationally, because a lot of the communication is over with your driver leader is over the phone. You've got to, of course, be able to read and recognize road signs, for safety signs, of course, general public. As far as license, you must have a valid Class A CDL, and have a U.S. driver's license for at least 3 years. The U.S. driver's license for at least 3 years. With a Class A CDL, you need to have 6 months of experience in order to qualify. So 6 months, of course, and you're licensed in the state of residency. I think that's overlooked a lot of times by individuals and not knowing that requirement. But by DOT, you are required to be licensed within the state of your residency. You have 30 days to get that transferred if you have not yet done so. They give you a 30-day window to get that done. When I say they, I'm talking DOT, Decker, all encompassed. We will not be able to work with one that has any restrictions on it, like an occupational or restricted license. We can't work with anything like that. That's like an SR22. And you must have and be legal to work and live within the U.S. So those I know are just pretty basic requirements. Now, to dive a little bit deeper into work history and qualifying, disqualifying factors there. Now, different, availability is based off of where our freight lanes are, how many people we have out of those areas, if our freight allows for more drivers out of that area. So that can change, from 1 week to the next based off of the increases, the awards and wins that we've had with the additional freight. It also is going to be a factor with the number of drivers that we have out of a specific location, in relation to that freight. So that's, of course, always something that we're taking a look at. It's really important because if we're off balance there, then it would affect home time. And obviously home time is extremely important. We want to make sure that we are getting you home when needed, as promised, etc. So, now as far as tickets, moving violations, that kind of thing, no more than 2 tickets, and that's including warning. So if you had a warning on your CSA, that's still considered a ticket under the eyes of the insurance, under the eyes of Decker. I mean, it's a moving violation. So no more than 2 tickets or warnings within the last 12 months, and no more than 4 tickets or warnings within the last 36 months. So that is the overall requirement there. No tickets for operating a motor vehicle without the permission of the owner. Nothing like that within the last 36 months. I know some of these are kind of, a given, but I think it's important to know this is where the guideline is, because these are questions that we get asked all the time. And if you already know where you're at, if you already know that, hey, you've got a ticket or a moving violation that's maybe a major moving violation, you know that you wouldn't qualify for at least 3 years, something like that. So I think it's important that you know where these guidelines are for us. No violating a vehicle traffic law in connecting with a fatal accident in the last 3 years. Of course, we can't work with anything like that. No driving with an expired license, very important. Definitely not something we can do within the last 36 months. It's considered a major moving violation. So is following too close. Even if there's not an accident, if you have a following too close, that has to be at least 3 years old. No violations within the last 3 years for major moving violations, such as a 15 over speeding ticket or an improper or erratic lane change. Now, that's a little bit different than being in the wrong lane, and I think some states have it worded different than others. So definitely read what your MVR or your CSA report states. If it says improper lane, we can work with that within a time frame. But if it says improper lane change or erratic lane change, that we cannot. That has to be at least 3 years old. If you're speeding in or have a speeding ticket in a construction zone, especially if it resulted in an accident, it has to be at least 3 years old. Speed or driving without a license or driving on a suspended license has to be at least 3 years old. Again, those are considered major moving violations. Using a handheld device or having an inattentive driving ticket is also a major moving violation, would have to be at least 3 years old. Reckless, careless, leaving the scene of an accident, assault with a motor vehicle, fleeing or eluding police. These are all major moving violations, and I know these are starting to move towards the more extreme. But again, just making sure that you're aware of a lot of these, speed exhibitions or drag racing. Those are considered major moving violations. Have to be at least 3 years old. Now, as far as in a commercial vehicle, that was more personal ways. And as far as in a commercial vehicle, same type of, all of those would be disqualifying factors that I had just mentioned. Of course, no more than 2 tickets in a commercial vehicle in the last 12 months. We can't work with more than 2 in the last 12 months, and no more than 4 in the last 36 months. We cannot work with a vehicle connected with a fatal accident, like a vehicle ticket connected with a fatal accident, whether it's in a commercial vehicle, whether it's 3 years old or more. Driving on an expired license, 1 in the last 3 years, that's max. Trying to think of what else would automatically disqualify. Driving with the CDL restrictions. As far as accidents, incidents, no DOT recordable accidents within the last 3 years. Can't work with anything like that within the last 3 years. No more than 3 preventable incidents or accidents within the last 3 years. If they're, for example, a turning or a parking incident, things like that are not considered DOT recordable. They're more minor in financially. They're more minor. They're also more minor in as far as safety related. No DOT recordable accidents in the last 3 years that are, regardless whether they're preventable or not. Loss of control, jackknife, U-turn, U-turn on a public roadway, backing across a roadway, careless, reckless, driving too close, that would result in an accident, a rear-end collision or a lane change violation, an accident with 13 plus miles per hour over, falling asleep, and rollover accidents. These are all, of course, major accidents and moving violations that we wouldn't be able to work with at all. And sorry, I was just reading. Mike says, any new changes other than the email letter that was sent out? Oh, with the leadership. Yeah, let's review that. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing anything else for qualifications, and then we'll review that as well. No drug or alcohol offense in the last 3 years. No a violation, no open container, nothing like that within, like I said, within the last 3 years. I think this is the most part for driving record and standards. Those are the qualifying factors. Of course, we are looking for even above and beyond that, at least 6 months of experience. And as far as work history, we do offer a sign-on bonus if you have less than 3 jobs or 3 jobs or less within the last 18 months, and you have 2 years of tractor trailer experience. So that is another plus. We do offer, of course, for more qualified and higher standards, we do offer that sign-on bonus as well. So if you guys have questions on it, if there's something you're interested in, this number here, 877-433-2537, 877-433-2537. I had to think about that for a second. Like I said, at least 2 years of experience in order to qualify for that sign-on bonus, and no more than 3 jobs within the last 3 years. That's for the refrigerated side. Actually, in the Midwest flatbed, we do allow 4 jobs within the last 18 years, but again, 2 years of experience. So, we did send out, we have our weekly newsletters, which go out every Monday, and then throughout the week, we may have additional communication that's sent out through email as well. And that's just to try and keep you guys in the loop, make sure that you are well aware of what's going on behind the scenes, because sometimes announcements aren't always made, but there are things obviously happening in order to build and respond to concerns and growth. So what we sent out last Friday, and actually sent out as well in the newsletter yesterday, is an update with our driver and our professional driver and our leadership forum. Now, this forum we've been doing since November, so it is fairly new to us. And they kind of got, they kind of took off um, running right away with it. So what happened is we have a handful of professional drivers and a handful of our leadership team that came together, and they decided on a few important, I don't want to necessarily say projects, but more important areas that needed to be taken care of, concerns of people. And then they've met periodically since in order to kind of follow up and keep everybody in the loop that's within the group. And then, of course, the communication follows for everybody that isn't necessarily in the group, but obviously we are represented throughout it. That being said, some of the updates were, let me see, make sure that I'm not missing any of those, but I'm pretty sure that's, as of right now, Mike, those are the current updates. Like, for instance, with the professional driver and the leadership team, we started working on network and operation updates. So in those instances, we had already done a lot of restructuring and kind of rebuilding in different areas to make for better processes to get things done. Part of that was the structuring of for the customers and the sales, and we've been awarded a lot more freight because of that. So not only with new customers, but also with current customers that we've been able to grow the freight lanes with that. So that's part of it. But that was already in the works more so initially before even the driver and leadership forum began. But because of that, we've been getting even more communication out with what we call wins and or awarded lanes, so that you guys are aware that the growth is happening. So anyways, that is taken care of, and we've been communicating that pretty regularly as it's been coming through. Definitely a lot in January and February, because there's a lot of growth right there that we had been building up to. That it was all starting at that time for some of our customers. As far as pre-planning and scheduling for our drivers, what I think is really important to notice is that we've been able to combine our customer service and our planning departments. So we've been combining those positions so that now it's more streamlined, first of all, and it's been able to allow us to get as far as 2 and 3 loads deep in the planning. So now you're starting to see 2 to 3 pre-plans ahead on your load. So it helps as a driver. It obviously helps you plan your week and manage your hours better. And of course, with the operations team, it does as well, making it easier for us, smoother for the operations team in making sure that you're getting the miles, you're getting the loads. And that was one thing that, coming off of this last year or so, miles is definitely a focus for our drivers, making sure that we're getting you additional miles. We came off of, years going by quickly, but we came off of time on the pandemic where everything was loving high miles, and then it started to flatten out and dip low. And so we wanted, of course, to do some restructuring so that we can build up those miles for a lot of our drivers. So anyways, it has been working out better. A lot of you are probably already seeing the 2 to 3 pre-plans ahead. Pre-plans ahead is a little redundant, but you're probably starting to see all those pre-plans. It hasn't, there are some that I know haven't been seen as many pre-plans, and it's just by the area that you're in more so than anything. But that's what we're working to is to continue to focus on more and more pre-plans on that. It's reducing some downtime, of course, and it's just making each of your days a little bit smoother. But yeah, so what we've done is we combined those customer service and those planning roles into one. And so we've got, I mean, we don't have just one person doing all of it, but we have the planning and customer service. That role is one individual. And so we have 8 team members that are representing those positions, and they're managing that operations across their specified geographic area, that zone. So I think that makes it times. Mike says he's noticing even sometimes 4 when it comes to the pre-plan. So yeah, that is a huge win for us, because in the past that's what we've done. In the past, pre-planning was extremely important, but coming off of those high miles, and then all of a sudden having dropped, not necessarily not dropping customers, but the type of a lot of the customers were starting to have fewer loads. They were having, they just weren't having the demand that they were before. And so we were adjusting to that, and we had quite a bit of a customer base that just didn't really fit our profile. And so we've been making those adjustments so that we can better serve our drivers as well as our customers, making sure that we're just better fit all around. And if you've been following us, you've noticed that in the last year for sure, maybe 10, 11 months, but you've definitely seen those changes being made for the positive on that. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes 4, that's fantastic. Yeah. And more of you guys are seeing that. I get emails all the time, just with it's working, it's coming together. I appreciate being pre-planned. I mean, these are the types of comments that I'm seeing more and more often, and that's back to what I was used to, seeing those. Yeah, Decker does a great job. Always making sure that we're pre-planned. I love that. That's always feels good. As far as additional changes, let's see, technology-wise, or I guess technology communications. I'm not sure what you necessarily bundle that under, but we've been working on new ways for you to access some of your, not one-time documents, but documents that you might need here and there, like your benefits. You need to know, there's a lot of benefits that we have that not everybody utilizes, and it's just because maybe you're not aware of it. And we want to make sure that you're well aware of all the benefits we have. Our benefits department has worked very hard, HR and benefits, very hard to give us, to set us up with the best coverage and really support us with those. But if you're not aware of them, it doesn't do you any good, right? So we want to make sure that you have easy access to the benefits and any updates. Obviously, we communicate through our weekly newsletter each week to make sure that you have the information you need concerning the benefits. But if it's listing the same benefits every single week, you might overlook it. And that's why we'll give you updates on new things, but we're not always just linking to the benefits. You'll have access to that through our website and through the TransFlow app on your phone, on the tablet, just trying to make it a whole lot easier for you instead of having to chase it down and figure out what email was that, because that's always frustrating. How many of you guys, you read it in an email or one of the newsletters, but then you can't find it in your email? We don't want you having to worry about that. We want to give you the updates through the email and the newsletter, but we still want you to be able to easily access it when you need it, have it there when you need it. And that's benefits, policy manuals, like labor laws and communication or like important contacts, things like that you're not usually looking at or looking for, but when you need it, you don't want to go through and you don't want it to be like going through a haystack, finding a needle in a haystack. So let's make it a little easier for you. Another change, which I was surprised, but was definitely encouraged by our professional drivers, because we have a good dress code policy as it is, but what I was surprised with is the push for making sure that the Decker appearance, Decker reputation is built and lifted up, so that not only you look good, you're presentable, you've got safe clothing as well. So proper footwear, proper clothing wear. It's not too loose and not too tight, so it's not a safety issue. That's what's important, and of course wearing something that's neat and clean. But it was really important to some of our professional drivers that were representing the forum, represented in the forum, that we hold our reputation high, to take pride in being part of Decker. And so there were a few changes there, just being, just lifting those up a little bit. So hygiene, things like that. By the way, we do have showers, laundry facilities at our terminals. Des Moines does not have it, but we do have a car that you can sign out and access so that you can get to one of the truck stops, a nearby truck stop for laundry and showers and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But yeah, our other locations, that's something that we do provide, which I think is pretty cool. Updates with equipment and maintenance. I think the process is something that we do look at on a regular basis. The maintenance department is really good about keeping us updated on a lot of the A and B service changes. They're always evaluating, because there's always something that can be fixed, right? There's a better way to invest in our fleet, or maybe reduce some downtime, or even prevent the breakdowns. They're always looking at that, whether it's the type of equipment that we're purchasing, or it's the process that we are communicating or managing the maintenance concerns. That's always something that we look at. By the way, speaking of that, we do have an email, suggestions@deckermail.com, that a lot of the information, besides just the professional driver and leadership forum, but also through communication from the suggestions email, are addressed when it comes to making these type of improvements. Not just the maintenance department, but operations. But maintenance is something that we definitely see with the communication. So I appreciate that. But yeah, troubleshooting. We have a lot of amenities: APUs, refrigerators, microwaves. We have the Epic View. Epic View streaming it includes a 22-inch television, smart TV, right? 22-inch smart TV. It has part of it is the free Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of amenities that can be a little bit more technical, which means there could be some troubleshooting times. You just might need a little bit more help walking through. And sometimes getting on the phone with the maintenance department is extremely helpful and very beneficial to you. But then there's other times that you just need to see it. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you just, as you're walking me through this, and that's why we have videos. So the maintenance department has put together quite a few videos. We've had those. Not everybody is aware that you can access those on our tablets. And you can. If you go to the company videos, that's one way you can access it. You can also access it during on the maintenance section of the Transflo app. And what we've found out is that my view is not the same as your view when it comes to the tablet and the Transflo app. So we are trying to find a better way to make sure that it's the view is reflective of what I see and what you see, so that when we're telling you, hey, go to this, go here on your tablet, go into maintenance, or go into company videos, and then go into troubleshooting, that I'm able to walk you through exactly how to do it while I'm doing it with you. But yeah, finding out that the view is a little bit different, and so guiding you through those steps weren't necessarily the exact steps that you would have needed. So yeah, anyways, that's part of it. Making sure that those troubleshooting guides are accessible and all the time to you, available to you all the time. And again, not necessarily through an email or a newsletter where you're like, which one was that? But where exactly am I going to go for that? So that was another win. These are wins to me. I think these are great things to get accomplished because it's just ease of use, just less of a hassle. It's like having an organized computer or organized truck, where everything is stored. And that's basically our goal when it comes to any of these digital resources that you're needing. So you're not chasing down and spending hours looking for something that should be easily accessible. So, but anyways, those are some of our wins. As far as additional changes, not as of yet. Working on a few different things that were addressed, but not like we haven't progressed far enough for updates on those yet. But yeah, and I'm going to find out when the next meeting is. Some of these have been more virtual meetings, so they've been more on like conference call meetings. And so when they give an update, we'll be able to get out even more info to you. Which would be cool. So yeah, but I think that's about it. I guess a couple of things that are coming up. We do have the road check for 2025 road check. That's coming up. You still have like a month and a half, so don't stress about it. But it's a good reminder that you should always be doing your pre-trip, post-trip, and reporting anything to maintenance if there's a concern, so that we can make sure we take care of it. Our maintenance program, our maintenance department, they do a fantastic job. It is enough. They do a very, very good job. You do need to make sure that you're reporting things, because even though they do such a fantastic job, a lot of the trailers are away from the main terminal, Fort Dodge or Bessemer or Des Moines, or Hammond. They're away from them enough that we don't have our eyes all the time on them. So the maintenance department isn't seeing them as often as some of you guys. So the best thing to do is make sure when you do your pre-trip and you do your post-trip that you are reaching out to the maintenance department and letting them know of any concerns. If there is an issue with the trailer, or what else, trailer tires, your truck, whatever, please communicate that with the maintenance department so we can take care of it. We don't want you having to pick up a trailer that is obviously not safe enough to be on the road or legal. Those things all need to be taken care of. So yeah, very important. Make sure you communicate that. But that's a good reminder with the Road Check 25. Their focus this year will be on like tires, treads, and things like that. Wear on the tires, but as always, they look at everything just like normal. So you want to do a thorough look through. Yeah, and speaking of tires and tread and all that, a good reminder that this time of year is a slushy mess in some places, and others it might just be a big mud puddle. So make sure that when you're going to a shipper or receiver, that your truck stays on pavement. Okay, especially when you're loaded, stay on pavement, and then of course stay away from the shoulders, highway shoulders. If you're near those, there's a good chance that you can get stuck, and getting stuck can really cut into your time. It's unnecessary downtime for the most part. You could have a late delivery because of it, and of course, you lose out on other opportunities like your scorecard bonus and stuff like that because it'll be lost points. So keep that in mind. Again, stay away from the shoulders and the highway shoulders and whatnot, and then of course keep the truck on pavement and make your life a whole lot easier by avoiding that, right? I think so. I think that's what we do. But yeah, as far as coming back around to available positions, we do have Midwest flatbed opportunities available, and like I mentioned earlier, with the Midwest flatbed, we do offer a sign-on bonus. You need to have at least 2 years of experience and no more than 4 jobs within the last 18 months in order to qualify for that sign-on bonus. And that pays out $1,500 at 6 months, $1,500 at 9 months, and then the remaining $2,000 on your 1-year anniversary. So that's the sign-on bonus. Of course, your rate of pay per mile is based on your experience level. And then you do get a penny raise after 90 days, and you'll get a penny raise annually as well. So that's the rate of pay per mile. I'm not sure if I said this. 10 cents per mile is per diem, so you're not taxed on 10 cents a mile. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but so again, your rate of pay per mile is based on your experience level. The more experience you have, the higher your rate of pay. If you have 15, 20 years of experience, you're looking at 70 cents a mile to start with on the flatbed division. At that point, you're at our max. If you had that doesn't affect any of your bonuses or anything like that, though. That's just your base pay. As far as, say, trying to think, 10 years, 11 years of experience, you're looking at 65 cents, 68 cents a mile. Again, 10 cents of that is per diem. As far as the refrigerated division, a little bit different. In the refrigerated division, we have a $4,000 sign-on bonus and a $5,000 sign-on bonus, depending on where you live. In both cases, you no more than 3 jobs within the last 3 years and at least 2 years of tractor-trailer experience in order to qualify for that. But the sign-on bonus, the amount is based off of where you live. So if you live in Iowa, Illinois area, then you're looking at a $5,000 sign-on bonus. If you're looking at Alabama or Texas or an area that isn't as heavily freight area for us, then the larger sign-on bonus is closer to the Fort Dodge area and the majority of our freight. Kind of figure that out probably. But requirements are going to be the same no matter what. And again, with the pay per mile for the refrigerated, 10 cents per mile is per diem, and yes, your rate of pay is based on your experience level. So if you've got 15 years of experience in the refrigerated division, then you get a penny raise, or you start off at 65 cents a mile, then you'll get a penny raise after 90 days, and then you'll get a penny raise annually as well. So, and again, 10 cents per mile is per diem. The sign-on bonus depends on 4 or 5, 5,000, and then the payout for that is at 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year for the sign-on bonus. As far as the other bonuses, of course, we've got monthly bonuses for both refrigerated and flatbed opportunities. We have the scorecard safety bonus. That can be an extra 5 cents a mile for a lot of you. And it depends, of course, where you're at on those tiers. So if you have a full 1,000-point scorecard, which is the best, then you'll get 4 cents a mile. And then if you've got a 0 on your safety, which is the best score you can get, then you get another penny right. So that's 5 cents there. But say you have 850, you're looking at a penny per mile on all the miles instead of the 4 cents because you don't have the full 1,000 for the scorecard. Hopefully that gives you an idea of where the different tiers are at and where you can make it. On average, I think last month, I can't remember, I think it was around $260 was the extra bonus on the scorecard, and an extra $90 for the safety bonus. So that kind of gives you an idea of where not only miles but also what the average bonuses are each month. So those paid out usually the third pay period of the month following it. Like I said, then we've got the driver of the month, which puts you in for the running for driver of the year for this coming year as well. And that should be announced later today. So always good, always fun. So we'll have that as well. Stay tuned on our Facebook for those for those announcements, making sure that our driver leaders have already been able to reach out to each of the winners before we let the cat out of the bag. All right. As far as the home time, in our flatbed division in the Midwest, we do offer home weekly opportunities. In more of our over-the-road flatbed, it's usually home every other weekend or so. Not always the full weekend, coming in on like a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and then usually leaving out either Sunday night or Monday morning. That's the norm. Now, it could be give or take a little bit on each side, but the norm is usually about that time. As far as refrigerated, we have 11 days on and 3 days home. We also have the option of 2 to 3 weeks out and then home for 4 to 5 days. If you're out west, like Washington Utah, Oregon, we have it. The home time there is 2 to 3 weeks out, and then home for 4 to 5 days, with the freights out there, freight out there. Um, yeah, we do have a couple of team opportunities. Actually, we have more team opportunities than what we did in the past. These team opportunities are over the road. So if you're within the hiring area for the refrigerated division, then you are likely a good area for the teams. It is a refrigerated team opportunity. We have one dedicated, and I know this is a very specific spot. It's between Denver, Colorado and Chicago, Illinois, along I-80 there. So you do need to live along that route. It is a dedicated opportunity. It is home weekly, great miles, and that is team. That is a team. And you can qualify for the sign-on bonus, each individual, as well. Obviously based off of your experience level, but that sign-on bonus is available to teams as well as the single. The singles, the solos. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mike. You have a great day. Good rest. Go to bed for the day. Awesome. So yes, that is available to the teams. The one dedicated position has to be, or you do need to live between Denver, Colorado, and Chicago, Illinois. That's one position that we have. But we do have other team opportunities. It's just not dedicated. The dedicated one is home weekly. The other one is 4 weeks out at a time, home for 5-6 days at a time. That's the rotation for the team opportunity. So again, if you have questions, I highly suggest that you reach out to our recruiting department, and they can give you details on, hey, this is what you can expect for home time. Because in some areas, they might be able to give you a little bit better opportunity for home time than what I'm kind of blanketing this whole refrigerated space, that if it's an over the road, it's usually 4 weeks out. But in some areas, they might be able to offer you a little bit more home time as well, or home time more often. Like I said, the dedicated is home weekly for that team opportunity. So either way, 877-433-2537, and that way you can speak directly to the recruiting department and get the specifics, right? And so that, let's see, what else for the team. The team is on a graduated pay scale, so the more miles that you guys run, the more pay you get per mile. But the base every week is 60 cents a mile split to the truck. The bonus miles, which that pays an extra 8 cents a mile, and that pays the month following when you ran it. Because of the number of miles that our drivers get, they get the full bonus. It's the extra 8 cents, so it's 4 cents a piece for that bonus, which roughly around $1,000 a piece per driver. That's so that extra mileage bonus. Yeah, that does not count the scorecard and safety bonus. Those are bonuses on top of the mileage bonus for the teams. But again, it's kind of the way that the mileage bonus is set up. So, yeah. All right. Benefits, they all start after 60 days. It's we've got Aplos is who we use for medical. And we've got the app there that you'll be able to access dental, vision, prescription, Regenix for, like an alternative to orthopedic surgery. We have FedLogic services available to you. We do have the Flex account. There are a lot of benefits. So if you have questions, please either go ahead and ask in the comments, and otherwise reach out to our recruiting department at 877-433-2537 for details on that. The benefits start at 60 days. Oh, the 401k is also at 60 days. It's 25% match on the 401k. As far as PTO, we have 1 week after your first 6 months available to you. Then you'll have another week on your 1-year anniversary. And then when you hit your 2-year anniversary, you'll have another week. And on your 3-year anniversary, you go bump up to 2 weeks per year. And then you'll continue with the 2 weeks a year until you hit 7 years. On your 7-year anniversary, you get 3 weeks a year, etc. And if you've seen some of the vacation numbers that we've had here recently, you know that there's a lot of you at the 3 weeks. We've got, I know Tim Burns was celebrating 35 years? Might have been more than that this week. So shout out to him on that. All right. Equipment, mostly the 579 Peterbilts. We have some Volvos, we have some Freightliners, but the majority of our trucks are the Peterbilts. Some 589s, some 389s, and 579s. They are all automatic, and they are all equipped with APUs, inverters, refrigerators, microwaves, Epic View, streaming TV, which is Wi-Fi, or also comes with Wi-Fi. But the TV, it's a smart TV, 100 plus channels, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, lots of channels there. We have the lytic system, which is part of our safety unit. Lane departure, speed gauge, tracks all of that for you. We have both passenger and driver's side are air ride seats. We do have double bunks, or all of the trucks are double bunks, so you'll have that extra storage if you need it, unless you have a rider. Ages 10 and up for the rider policy, we do allow that. And good storage throughout. The refrigerators, speaking of storage, the refrigerators, the larger ones are 3.2, I believe, are the largest ones we have. And those are our newer model Pete's that have those larger refrigerators. I was going to say, have the larger Pete's. Yeah. So yeah, those are the other ones. The other updates that we've had on the trucks will continue to give details. The 589s are very roomier than we were seeing in some of the other ones. But lots of compliments on those. Those are our newest model that we've gotten that we were trying out, and they're looking pretty snazzy. They don't only look snazzy. They obviously are very convenient and well maintained, and all those. Some top quality equipment. My water is like lukewarm. Ugh. All right. What else equipment wise? Refrigerated weapon. Yeah. If you need more details, just let me know. 877-433-2537. So I will let you be. Don't forget, next Tuesday we're going to be going live at 6:30 for our Decker Award ceremony, because we have several people that we'll be recognizing. We'll be talking about our million-mile earners. And when I say million-mile, I mean million, 2 million, 3 million-mile earners. I don't think we have any 4 million-mile earners this year. We did last year. But we'll be celebrating them along with our Driver of the Years, our Highway Angels, and of course our big win here is our Best Fleets to Drive For overall large carrier win that we've had earlier this month, which was a huge, exciting announcement that we were able to award that we were able to accept. So, all right, cool beans. But we will be live next Tuesday, obviously, for that. Don't miss us on Mondays. Mondays at 4 p.m. Central, we go live for our Q&A on our Facebook page as well. And also on the 1st, we'll be going live for the referral drawing. So if you have referred somebody within the last quarter, make sure that and they were hired on, right? Make sure that you join me on Tuesday for the referral drawing for a chance at $1,000. You don't have to be present to win, but it's way more fun. Like when it's announced. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We will see you next week. In the meantime, like I said, if you have questions, either reach out to me or reach out to our recruiting department at 877-433-2537.